WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have the fourth and final edition here of my hand fills that I brought back with me from the distillery, Bunnahabhain Warehouse number 9. This time I have a port pipe, cask 101, 2007 vintage, and bottled on the 17th of October 2020 by S. Jackson. So we have exactly 55.9% ABV, Whiskybase number 166892 for the 200 milliliter and 166778 for the 700 milliliter bottle. This bottle is still available over here in Europe. In Germany, I can pay 190 for the 700 milliliter. Yes, they are that big, and in Germany, no. There's one for 220, there's one for 250, and even the Whiskey Borg actually is going to ask 299 euros for that bottle. Would that ever be worth that price? No. I paid 45 pounds for this little hand grenade, these little tiny 200 milliliter bottles. Love them, love them, love them. All right, so now we actually opened we were a group of 6 guys over there in Isla, and one of the guys that were on the tour bought exactly the same handful and opened it up at our cottage where we stayed. We had a self-catering cottage, beautiful, beautiful place, and I must admit, we were all disappointed. It's like, wait a second, this is not what we expected. Now, the bourbon is interesting, but that wine hogshead that I had in the last video and the video before that with the French oak were actually much better. So this is not going to be as good. Now, there's going to be a few reasons why. Now, I can only speculate or actually have some conspiracy theories. Now, the first thing I do is when I look at a whiskey, I look at the color. I mean, wow, that is a fantastic color. Bourbon, port. I like port. No, excuse me, I love port. I was in Porto and Portugal. I did a lot of those little port wine casks, port tours, Ruby, Tony. I just like port. I drink port. When I have a day off and I want to relax, it's going to be a port. It's not going to be a whiskey. Whiskey is more whiskey videos, whiskey job, whiskey life. And port is just like relax and enjoy. And so I enjoy port. Now, this has a great color. This has a nice nose. It has a beautiful nose. Well, not beautiful. It has a good nose. There's a slight tart bitterness in the note. I don't know if you can smell bitterness, but tart you can smell. At least I imagine I can smell it. All right, so the alcohol, it doesn't bite, but it's definitely there. 55.9%. Here we have 55.7%. Much less alcohol, much more of that bourbon, vanilla, light, little honey moments there. Very, very interesting. Now, what happens is when we try this whiskey, it does this. I'll do that in a second. It's like, oh, looky there. Wait a second. What's going on? Astringency, bitterness. Ooh, egid. Yucky. Just, boom, crash and explode. I have a rating system. 1 is, why haven't you bought it? 2, buy it. 3, you can buy it if you want to. 4, you don't need to buy it. 5 was, why was this even made? That's the German school grades. So translated into the English school grades. A, why haven't you bought it? B, buy it. C, you can buy it if you like. D, you don't need to buy it. And F, why was it even made? This is borderline F. This is a D minus. Why was it even made? All right, so every time I taste it, it's like, and it just terribly disintegrates, takes a wrong left-hand turn back into itself, and no. So, cheers. There's a berry tartness at the very beginning, as if you had a super, super concentrated elderberry juice. And then that wood oakiness takes over. It's extreme. And then actually, it sometimes is, oh, this is like a nice chocolate. No, this is like chewing on sawdust. Now, I am going to speculate here for a moment. Sorry, Bunna. In my personal opinion, for what we have here, hand-filled, distillery exclusive, these should be the creme de la creme of all the casks in your warehouse. All right, it should be, okay, I'm going to try the cask, I'm going to try that cask, I'm going to try that cask. It's like, oh, that's so good. It's too good to batch together with 5 other casks. This should be a single barrel. I expect these barrels that you pick to showcase, to highlight, to let the distillate shine and just really impress us with the quality of those casks and what you did. This is a dud. All right? So this is a weird whiskey. If I go back to Whiskybase, now Whiskybase is not the holy grail of whiskey, but 66 different people voted for this already. We have, let's say, about 15 people that gave this an 85 plus, which is very high grades. And we have about 20 people that gave it below a 75, which is terrible. And so somehow there's something in this that actually separates the people that love it from the people that hate it. And it's the exact same single barrel. It's cask 101, port pipe 2007, 2020, 55.9. It's not different batches, people. It's one barrel. So I have some theories. So some conspiracy theories, some hypothesis. My very first hypothesis is certain people just don't taste that bitterness of that wood. Or whatever that bitterness is. Apparently I do. Apparently many of the people that gave it a below a 75 do as well. Now, so the person that picked this out didn't catch it, doesn't recognize it, detect it, and for him it was a beautiful, beautiful whiskey, or her. So that could possibly be the case. The second possibility, and I think this is probably going to be the most probable, is this port pipe was delivered from Portugal to Bunna when it was maybe a little too hot. And actually the port in that barrel spoiled a little bit. So port can turn into a type of vinegar, especially if it gets too hot and there's not enough and it oxidizes and blah, blah, blah. So now maybe they actually took the from the bunghole and sniffed on it. It smells good. The smell is not the problem. The taste is the problem. So that's a probable cause. Now the third one, and I'm going to stop speculating now here at the third one, is they took a cask, Bunna, or whoever, the bodega, and this cask actually might have been a port pipe before. And what do? We rejuvenate a port pipe. How do we do that? Somehow we scrape off about a 1/4 of an inch of that char, or that toast. In this case, port pipes are not charred, they're just toasted. And we maybe retoast it and rejuvenate it. How do we rejuvenate a port pipe? Do we put port in it and let it sit for another 5 to 10 years? No. What we do is we put 3 to 5 liters into it, swoosh it around, and call it finito, finished. And that's what my guess is with this color. I think, I can imagine that there was a little bit of a wet port pipe involved here. And this wet port pipe had just been reactivated, retoasted, and that's giving too much of a wood moment. Don't forget, it's 12, 13 years of age in that probably rejuvenated port pipe. So that's my most logical answer here. Whatever they did, I didn't like it. Whatever they did, the people in my group didn't like it. Whatever they did, this is a D- whiskey, value for price. No, try it before you buy it, definitely. Now, in comparison, we have over here the bourbon. Very, very nice. Now, this video would be very short if I didn't do something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a blind tasting. So I have here 6 different glasses. Let's put this away. And I'm just going to rely on the expertise of how Roy has been doing it for the last couple of years. And I started using colored dots. So we have a blue one, and we have a yellow one, and we have an orange one, and we have a red one, and we have a silver one, and we also have here a green one. So for those with the green, red weakness or colorblind, so sorry. Okay, what I've done now is I've filled up my blind tasting glasses with the different colors with appropriate whiskeys. What do I have here? I have a Bunnahabhain, the Pedro Jimenez PX Octave Cask Fashil 2022 bottling. I have from the sample set that I bought for the tasting in June, the 12-year-old. I did not put the Monia in it because it would be peated. I'd immediately identify that. I have the 11-year-old wine hogshead. I have the 2007 port pipe. I have the bourbon. And I have the rejuvenated French oak. So those are the 4 hand fills that I had, plus the 2 other ones. So the 12-year-old is 46.3, and the Pedro Jimenez is 50.8. So everything else is going to be a little bit higher. So I might just identify them by the ABV. So sorry. So I don't know what's what. So I do have a nice little sheet of paper here that tells me the answers, but we won't look at that yet. I will be writing down my guesses here on a sheet of paper so I can actually see what I have in my glass. So I'm going to rank these first, nosing, maybe identify the one or the other, and then taste and hopefully identify while ranking. So I'm just going to start over here with the green. Funky. A lot of wood. A little bit of a vegetable moment. Silver. Oh, I like silver. Silver is nice. Going towards the front. Red. For me, that's going to be maybe the wine hogshead. You will probably be able to see either here or here what the different colors are. Not bad, not bad. I like this one as well. The orange, that's nice. Don't like this one. Perfumed. Or do I? It's blue. Okay. Slow down. Take your time. And reevaluate. Wow, everything's been moved over here. So let's just... I can't do that. This is my favorite one. So we have to actually move the glasses like this. Yes, I like the silver. The orange has a little bit less of an alcohol moment. Definitely like the orange better than the red. Yellow versus... I'm going to push up the blue a little bit. And the green one's funky. Not sure. I know Campbelltown funk is good, but in my world, funky is not great. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. If this is the port, I will probably recognize it immediately by, So, if not, we'll see what happens. Cheers. I think that's the port. Ooh. Wow, that's a palate modifier. I might be wrong. Who knows? All right. One more. A little bit more water here. Yellow. Nice. Sweet. Almost like a there's peat in there. There's peat in there. What's peat doing in there? I didn't have a single Bunna where I recognize peat. It can't be a handfill, can it? I don't remember it. The only one that's that's basically new to the party is the 12-year-old. I kept on using my 12-year-old, and now I use this 12-year-old. And there's definitely peat. Not bad peat, but it's peat. Huh. I'm going to pick this then as 12-year-old. So we have the port. We have the 12. I'm going to have to compare this with mine in a moment and see if I get any peat over there. All right, let's cleanse the palate. Blue. Definitely more alcohol than here. Wow. Is the blue the port? Yeah. Huh. Whoops. That's the question now here. I'm going to come back to these two at the end. I'm having a problem with the blue and the green at the moment. They're just both not doing it for me. Ow. There's berries. And that blue didn't get any berries in the green. So the green could be the bourbon. Uh-oh. Okay, red. Oh, nice. Is that the wine hogshead? That's what it's... Or it could be Pedro Jimenez. A little bit of dryness. Sweetness. Not that hot. Tiny, tiny little bit now of the oak. I'm going to guess that's the Pedro Jimenez. Now, the question is, where do we put the Pedro Jimenez? It's going to be up here, or where it's going to be. I don't know yet. If I'm right. You see it, I don't. I might be totally wrong. I might need to change my mind again. So, one of the things about blind tasting is it really makes you humble. I've had all of these whiskeys. I know what they are. I've had them twice, at least in my glass now. French oak. Orange. Wood. Spicy. Little bit of ginger. I like the red better than the orange. Definitely wood. French oak could be possible. That would mean that this could be the wine. The silver, maybe. If that's the Pedro Jimenez, this might be the wine. It smells good. All right, so I like that. this is for me, it's the wine hogshead. For me, the red one is going to be the Pedro Jimenez. And for me, the orange French oak. Yeah, spicy French oak. Now, what's going down here with my blue and my green? So I'm pretty sure the 12-year-old, the yellow, has some peat in it. So I have a bourbon and I have a port. So the green one is the one I had first. That's going to be the bourbon. And the blue, that's probably going to be my peat. This is not true blind. It's not double blind. I have a good idea what I'm tasting, and I'm just trying to match it up and trying to guess here. Okay. So, good. So 12 and the bourbon. So on the other hand, all right, so we have the blue. And the blue is the port. Chaka. So the yellow I said is the 12, and it is the 12. Chaka. So the green is probably going to be the bourbon. Green. Green is the French oak. Ooh, looky there. All right, I did not identify the French oak correctly. Rejuvenated French oak. Had a little bit of problems with that. So that means the orange one is going to be our bourbon. That's what I said was going to be the French oak. So I got the French oak and the rejuvenated French oak and the bourbon barrel mixed up. And the red one I said is going to be our Pedro Jimenez, and the one I like the best is the silver. It's going to be the wine hogshead. Yay! All right, 2 screwed up. That's okay. I can live with that. The bourbon and the French. So today I did not like the French. Interesting. All right, so what I wanted to do and what I'm going to do now is the following. I did this already once before, but I'm going to pull out my bourbon here and my Bunna 12. And I would like to just briefly compare it once again to the normal, the new 12. So I have a 2020 version here. So this has more sherry, in my opinion, and hardly any detectable smoke at all. And this 12-year-old is a little bit different, apparently. There's more peatedness in there. So it's the yellow one. Nope. Yep. I don't get any peat. Get a lot of sherry goodness, a little bit of leather. And this one, yeah. Huh. More peat than a Krakenmoor. I mean, it's not exactly Highland Park percentage, but it is there. It's detectable, at least for me. I'm not peat blind. Wow. Variations of the Bunna 12. Interesting. All right, so humble pie, a little bit I got to experience today, but I can live with the results. Blind tastings. I would highly recommend that you do something like this yourself. Ask your wife to, or your significant other, to go to your bottles, just pick one out. Don't tell you what, pour it, give you to in a glass, maybe blue one, maybe a black one. There are black Glencans out there, or red or gold or whatever other color, and just nose it and try to spend some time with it and identify it and take a guess. You know what you have in your shelves. Maybe you have 20 bottles, maybe you have 5 bottles, maybe you have 500 bottles. So you can limit it to what you have, and then just try it, or ask a buddy. Become part of a exchange. Say, I'll send you a sample, I'll give you a sample, you give me a sample. All right, set a limit. Hey, the bottle's not more than $80, 80 euros, 80 pounds. Send me 3 5cl bottles, and let me just try to guess what it was. All right, this would be a 3cl, this would be a 5cl. There are even 2cl bottles out there. And the 3cl was enough for me to actually spend some time with the whiskey and enjoy it and find out what it was. And then you give him one, you give them one, put a little envelope and actually have the information, what it is, on a sheet. And when they're ready, they open it up and go, ta-da! And they found out if they're right or wrong. You can guess the region, you can guess the ABV, you can guess the age, you can guess the type of barrels used, if it was finished or not. You can try to guess the mash bill. You can, of course, guess the distillery. And if you want to, you can try to guess the price. So that's what I did last year for Advent. Every day before Advent I had a blind Advent calendar, and I was able to guess what I had, and others were guessing along with me. It was a lot of fun because there were some real interesting things in there. I did Irish and bourbon and Canadian and German and Scotland and Netherlands and all these different things. It was a really, really cool thing. And if you just do that maybe once a month, that you find someone you can share with, or you have a club, or you have someone else, just try to do that and try to learn to do blind tastings, or something like I did. Pour yourself 6 different whiskeys, mix it up, put even little lids on them, come back after a while, forget what was on the list, or ask your wife to pour it, and write down the list, and then afterwards you rank them and go, oh, okay, I didn't know that I liked the Wild Turkey 101 better than I did W.L. Weller. Just to point out, make a point here. As soon as the price tag is gone, as soon as the label is gone, you get some really, really interesting results, is what I think. All right, thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and telling others about this crazy guy over in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. All the best. Bye-bye.